Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the next episode of Rumbling, or I guess in this case, Wrestling Reality. I am your host, Travis Falhark, and I am here to deliver to you the updates, the rumors, the news, my opinions of the product, and everything in between. So, let me just jump right in and say my apologies for the delay of this episode. This episode is actually going to be a special one in the fact that we're going to cover both Raw and SmackDown from last week as well as this week. So let's just get right into it. I don't want to take too much of your time, but we're going to jump right in. Raw has actually not been too bad of a show over the last couple weeks, but as always, I'm still going to be a little bit, what's the word I'm looking for? I guess I would say generous with the fact that I feel like Raw has done pretty well. I still hate the 3 hour format, which is why I pretty much only tune in to the hour and a half broadcast that they put on Hulu, which I know sometimes cuts out some important things like the Cruiserweight division, for instance, which for the first time ever on this edition of Raw on Hulu, they actually included the Cruiserweights, which I was actually happy to see, as opposed to just watching them only on 205 Live. Now, last week we saw the ever impending implosion that was guaranteed to happen between Kevin Owens and Chris Jericho. We also saw the attack of Samoa Joe on Sami Zayn, Gallows and Anderson against Reigns. We saw Braun Strowman take on Mark Henry. All these points I am bringing up because of one simple factor. They all have continuing storylines. Let's start off with Braun Strowman. Braun, give the man his due, because these last couple weeks he has improved so much in my book in regards to his athleticism, his overall technicality when it comes to wrestling, and the fact that, quite frankly, we have found the successor to the Big Show. That will play into how I talk about Raw this week as well. But we saw Braun Strowman take on Mark Henry. It was everybody pretty much knew that Braun was going to end up going over in this match because they still are billing him as the monster among men, this unstoppable force that's going to be taking on Roman Reigns. Can Roman Reigns defeat Braun Strowman? Can Reigns do what nobody else has done? Roman Reigns, however, was booked against the tag team champions, which I read online a lot of people were somewhat down on because the fact of Gallows and Anderson should be more focused on their opponents for their tag titles, whoever those opponents are determined to be, which I think they finally did settle that on Raw, I want to say, this past week. I could be wrong. It was honestly hard for me to really keep up with the tag title division right now because, honestly, I'm kind of sad the New Day's not involved in it anymore. And that's pretty much a sad story in and of itself, is that without those tag titles, New Day has become nothing, and that sucks. That really does suck. That does suck. You can go along with me if you want. But either way, we've got Enzo and Cass, and we've got Sheamus and Cesaro, of course, against Gallows and Anderson. As a matter of fact, now I remember, I believe it was Enzo and Cass that went over on Monday. So now there's your number one contenders for the tag titles. They really should have focused. I've heard a lot of people complain on the fact that those need to be two separate feuds. But I've always been a big fan that you can continue on storylines or intertwine storylines to get you from week to week. I didn't think Gallows and Anderson being involved with Roman Reigns was a bad thing. Matter of fact, I was happy that Gallows and Anderson are getting the TV time, and I'm glad that they're the tag team champions. Still hoping for the not only impending return of Finn Balor, but more so the impending return of a certain group that I think really would be beneficial to the WWE right about now. I think it's in the books. I think it'll happen. When and where is yet to be determined. Roman Reigns was a basic whatever for both weeks, as a matter of fact. I know, again, they're trying to bill him as being the big bad dog going up against the monster among men, but I mean, I hate saying it, but I like Roman Reigns in regards to I like his character. I actually am probably one of the few that actually admire him, but it's hard to do it. It's hard to get behind Reigns because, I mean, nobody else really is behind him. He was a guy that was rushed to the superstar spotlight way too fast. When he wasn't ready, a lot of people, backstage have been like, well, he's a hard worker and everything. That's great. You're a hard worker and that you're a dependable guy. But at the same time, you need to be pushed when the time is right. And Roman Reigns was not pushed when his time was right. So that's where people still will sour on Reigns and forever probably will. And he will be the successor to John Cena to getting the Let's Go Cena sucks chance, as it will now become Let's Go Roman sucks. It's pretty much how I can see that playing out. Going back to Braun Strowman, taking on the Big Show this past week was incredible. That was probably one of the first times that I can recall that a big man match, I guess some could argue Kane and Big Show, but I want to say that this was the first time that two big dudes like Braun Strowman and Big Show had a very competitive, solid 10 or 15-minute match. Very well done by both guys. Big Show is in incredible shape and is moving around very well. I actually like this new Big Show, this new leaner Big Show. Seems like he's got a more fire with him now, and his work rate was great. He and Braun both showcased what they needed to for that match. They did everything they needed to do, and they did it well. Jericho and Owens, we knew that was eventually going to come, and I have to say, the Festival of Friendship was definitely trying to become this generation's This Is Your Life with The Rock and Mick Foley, or Mankind, if you will, and it was pretty funny at times. I'd have to say the funniest part was revealing the knockoff Da Vinci painting, I want to say it was. I believe it was Leonardo da Vinci. I'm sure somebody will eventually correct me on it. Maybe it was Van Gogh. Either way, of the two, and maybe I'm wrong on both. But I loved the correlation between Jericho pointing and KO reaching out both with their titles. I thought that was pretty hysterical. The beatdown was needed. And I think the way this is going to go is we're going to see it towards the build of WrestleMania is Triple H has now got Samoa Joe and he's got Kevin Owens as his cronies. Those are going to be his two henchmen, if you will, leading into it. I mean, we saw Kevin Owens in a suit on Monday delivering his promo. And he didn't, and this is what I like about Owens, because he did the same thing in NXT. Never really gave an explanation as to why he attacked Sami Zayn, just like he never really gave an explanation as to why he attacked Jericho. Very well done. Very reminiscent of old Kevin Owens when he first got to WWE. He just became the badass Kevin Owens again that a lot of people were saying were missing. But now him going into the match with Goldberg feels more important, because I think Kevin Owens is going to make it more important. And we all can kind of figure out where things are going to go between Goldberg and Owens. It's not really much to say right now. A lot of people pretty much have that. If you want the scoop on that, though, please go on and visit rumblingrumors.com, and you can read all about the potential rumors and right now all of the potential WrestleMania card matches that they are lining up for us at this year's big event. It was pretty much lackadaisical for Raw. Like I said, I've always been, well, I won't say always. As of recent time, it's hard for me really to get into the Raw product, but did the best I could with reviewing it for you, because SmackDown to me is where it all shines right now. Last week we saw Cena, Styles, and Wyatt in a killer triple threat match for the WWE Championship. And not only that, we saw Randy Orton give up his right for the title match at WrestleMania. I don't know about that. It is what it is. I still think there's going to be some form of a triple threat coming into Mania with Wyatt and Orton in there, and the third person is so far yet to be determined. So they say we'll talk about that as we move forward with SmackDown for this week. But last week we saw Naomi's celebration for the Women's Championship. Unfortunately, that has now been cut to an end. Mickie James and Becky Lynch had another match, very well put together matchup between those two women. It was great for SmackDown. SmackDown really, to me, has the advantage because they're a shorter show, so they know how to emphasize their time. We saw American Alpha and the Usos start interacting more. I think it's about time that they finally did that, because there still really has been no payoff from their feud that started with the Usos' original heel turn. So I think that's great that they're implementing them. I still wish the Ascension would have gotten the Duke from Elimination Chamber, but it is what it is. Hopefully, one day Ascension will be getting their just rewards because I feel like they are a tag team in desperate need of saving. For SmackDown this week, though, we saw Alexa Bliss reclaim her title after Naomi had to drop the championship due to injury. So bad for Naomi, really is. She really did work very hard to get to that point and was very underrated for many a year. And it's so disappointing that she had to lose the title that way, as like Finn Balor did and several other champions before her. Hopefully, though, this won't be the end for Naomi, and hopefully she'll come back and make another run for the title. Because I actually wasn't really upset all that much with the fact, except Alexa Bliss, who is my favorite diva right now, at least for the SmackDown brand, has done extremely well. That reminds me, I'll go back. I'm going to jump back to Raw for a second with the women's division on Raw with Bayley and Charlotte. Why on earth did Charlotte and Bayley, and this was the main event last week, why did they switch the title right now? It wasn't needed. They were building for Mania. It should have been safe for Mania, but no. Let's not do that. Let's not actually do something that it makes more sense. Kudos, WWE. And then we get to hear of this week Stephanie trying to coax Bayley into relinquishing her title because it was a tainted victory, yada, yada, yada. I like Raw's women's division. I like Banks. I like Bayley. I like Charlotte. I think they've got a lot of potential with them. It's just... it makes me do this. It makes me yawn a little bit because it's like they've pretty much taken that Raw women's title and made it meaningless within a matter of less than a year. Completely disappointing. I mean, it was at the WrestleMania I went to last year where we saw the unveiling of the Women's Championship, and it's so disappointing to see how far from grace it has fallen. But it is what it is again, and hopefully that won't be the case. Hopefully they can somehow restore its prestige, although they've played hot potato with it over the last 4 or 5 months now, and I wish they would quit doing that as well, which is why I think of the two women's titles, SmackDown's women's title is more prestigious than Raw's. Alexa Bliss now, there's only been 3 women's champions for Raw, and I think 3 for SmackDown now too, so they're kind of even keel. But to me, SmackDown has had more of the consistency with their women. Title changes haven't taken place as often. This one only happened because of Naomi's injury, but they put it back on a very credible heel champion. Alexa Bliss is doing quite well with her run, and she's making the most of all her opportunities, so bravo to Bliss. 5 feet of fury indeed. Then we moving on to the Battle Royal that was made because of the relinquished spot of Randy Orton's WWE title match. Obviously, we've seen the start of the Miz, John Cena / Nikki Bella, Maurice feud that is basically impending for WrestleMania. We saw hopefully what the culmination was for SmackDown for Natalya and Nikki in that Falls Count Anywhere match, which was actually pretty brutal. I was surprised they let it go the way they did for that women's, I'm sorry, not women's title, but that women's match. It was very, very brutal, much more than what I was expecting them to do. So bravo to both women. Obviously, Maurice getting involved sets up Maurice and Nikki's feud impending. The Miz was tossed over by Cena, only for Miz to eventually come back and toss Cena over illegally, but still they count it. Whatever, why is still beyond me. But that is, of course, to build for Miz and Cena and Nikki and Maurice to have the mixed tag team match at Mania. I mean, it could be good. We don't know exactly, but it sucks that they're kind of wasting the Miz and Cena because both guys are on the top of their game. And again, the waste makes me on. That's how I feel when they waste good talent. Miz is in a career renaissance, and they're throwing him and Cena, who can have a great match too, they're throwing them both away. You could always eventually make it, I guess, Cena and Miz one-on-one with both of their respective ladies in their corner, but still, there's nothing on the line for it, so it really is just like, come on, WWE, you can do better. Of course, they've got AJ Styles versus Luke Harper set for next week for the #1 contendership to face Bray Wyatt for the WWE title at Mania, with Orton being relinquishing his spot against Bray. I don't know if I like how this is going just because of the so-called direction that they're taking Mania. Again, to hear all, or to read, I should say, the updated card for WrestleMania, or the impending card, if you will, for WrestleMania this year, go to WWERumblingRumors.com to read about all the rumors in regards to what AJ Styles is going to be doing and where it seems to be going for Bray Wyatt. If everything goes as planned for WWE, or in their mind, Harper is going to be the one to face Wyatt in one-on-one, which is great. I like Luke Harper, do not get me wrong, but I am more upset with what they are doing with AJ Styles with the rumored Shane McMahon match. Now, people again will take this as that I don't like Shane McMahon. It's just that, and that is the furthest from the truth. I think Shane is awesome. He's actually one of my favorites and has been since I was a teenager. But no offense to Shane, AJ should not be his opponent. AJ should not have to face Shane. It's a throwaway match for a throwaway talent in WWE's eyes. Some people would say that Shane McMahon is a great booking match. No offense to Shane again, he is not on the combative level of an AJ Styles, and AJ deserves better. He deserves a Shinsuke Nakamura, or even better, a WWE title match at WrestleMania. The guy has put on a career-worthy performance for his first year in WWE. The only other year that I think can rival AJ Styles' debut year is Kurt Angle's back in 1999/2000. That's the only other person that I think can rival a better career debut year, if you will. But, I guess, again, we've got a lot of time left on the road to WrestleMania. So cliche to say, but it's true. But honestly, that's what I've got for you this week on the Raw versus SmackDown front. Stay tuned, because there's actually going to be a double dose of wrestling reality for this week, because, again, I'm a little delayed on this video. This was supposed to cover just last week's, but I felt it was better to go ahead and cover both SmackDown and Raw on this video. But stay tuned, because I am going to be coming out with another one later on this week, probably either Friday or Saturday, so stay tuned for it. And it's going to be a special look at not only the Cruiserweight division and how they have handled that recently, but also it's going to look at the recent Hall of Fame announcements of now Diamond Dallas Page. And I want to discuss what's going on with DDP's Hall of Fame induction, because A, it's well deserved, but more importantly, I want to talk about how it makes me feel personally in regards to what is now, in my opinion, the legitimacy of WCW, with the Hall of Fame induction of Sting and now the impending Hall of Fame induction of Diamond Dallas Page. There is only one more person in my mind that WWE needs to induct into the Hall of Fame to legitimize to legitimize WCW's past and its performance and its influence on sports entertainment. So be prepared for that video. It is to follow later on. So, ladies and gentlemen, that's all I got for you for this week. Until next time, y'all stay cool and be prepared, because another Rumbling Rumors production of Wrestling Reality will come to you later on this week. So once again, stay tuned, y'all.